The alien commander ordered disarm her. She raised her hands. That's your first mistake. The alien war cruiser hung above the planet like a dark shadow that never moved. Its surface was smooth and sharp at the same time, built with angles that did not follow human logic. Below it, the planet's cities were quiet. The fighting had already ended there. The aliens believed the war was over. Inside the cruiser, long halls glowed with cold blue light. Alien soldiers moved in perfect lines, their steps timed, their armor clean and untouched. They believed order was strength, chaos was weakness, and humans in their eyes were nothing but chaos. In the center of the ship was the command chamber. It was wide and high, with floating holograms showing star maps, ship status, and planetary data. At the center stood the alien commander. He was tall, with a long neck and four narrow eyes that could see into many light ranges. His armor carried symbols of many victories. Species after species had fallen to his fleet. Now, two guards pushed a human forward into the chamber. She was smaller than the aliens, much smaller. Her hands were bound behind her back with a glowing restraint field. She wore a simple dark suit, torn slightly at the shoulder from the capture. Her hair was tied back and her face showed signs of exhaustion. But she did not look afraid. That detail did not escape the commander's attention. The guards forced her to her knees in front of him. The energy field released her arms, snapping them free with a sharp sound. "Human," the commander said, his voice translated by the chamber's system into clear, cold English. "You are far from your territory. You were found alone. You will explain." The woman lifted her head and looked at him, not with anger, not with fear. She looked at him as if he were a problem to be solved. She said nothing. A murmur passed through the alien officers watching from the sides of the chamber. Silence during interrogation was rare. Most captured beings begged. Some threatened. Some cried. Humans usually shouted. This one did none of that. The commander took a slow step closer. "Your species has already lost this system," he said. "Your resistance fleets are destroyed. Your colonies surrendered. You are irrelevant." The woman's eyes moved, slowly scanning the room. She looked at the walls, the floor, the floating displays. She noticed the soldiers' positions, the distance between them, the angle of their weapons. She listened to the hum of the ship itself. The commander frowned. "Look at me when you are addressed." She finally did. "Interesting ship," she said calmly. Her voice was steady. "You adjusted the gravity to your average body mass. That saves energy. Efficient." The officers stiffened. The commander's eyes narrowed. "You speak as if you understand our engineering." "I do," she replied. "At least enough to survive it." That earned a sharp sound from one of the guards, a sign of irritation. The commander raised a clawed hand, ordering silence. "You are a prisoner," he said. "You will answer my questions." She tilted her head slightly. "You already have the answers you want," she said. "You think I'm a scout or a soldier or maybe bait." The commander leaned closer. "And are you?" "No," she said. "I'm something worse." The commander straightened. He turned to one of his officers. "Humans enjoy deception," he said. "They exaggerate their importance." The woman gave a small smile, not proud, not mocking, just knowing. "Tell me," the commander continued, "why you were alone, no weapons, no armor, no visible technology." "You expect us to believe this was not a mistake," the woman inhaled slowly. "It was not a mistake," she said. "It was a calculation." The commander stared at her for a long moment. Then he laughed. It was a sharp, echoing sound that filled the chamber. "A calculation," he repeated. "Your species miscalculates often." "Sometimes," she agreed. "That's how we learn." One of the officers stepped forward. "Commander, permission to restrain her further. She is stalling." "Granted," the commander said without looking away from the human. "Disarm her, fully." The order echoed through the chamber. The guards moved in. One stepped behind her. Another raised a scanning device, its surface glowing as it searched for hidden weapons or implants. The woman slowly raised both hands. Her movements were careful, smooth, and deliberate. The commander watched closely. This was the moment he expected fear. Humans usually broke when their last hope was taken away. But her face remained calm. Her palms were open, empty. The guards relaxed slightly. The scanning device showed nothing dangerous. No weapons, no energy spikes, no explosive compounds. The commander felt satisfied. "There," he said, "you see, nothing." The woman looked at him, hands still raised. "That," she said gently, "is your first mistake." For half a second nothing happened. Then the lights dimmed, only slightly, just enough to be noticeable. A low warning tone sounded once and then stopped. The holograms flickered and stabilized again. The officers looked at each other. Minor system fluctuations were not uncommon during combat operations. The commander turned sharply to the nearest technician. "Report." The technician hesitated. "A brief power adjustment, Commander. No damage detected." The commander looked back at the human. "Was that your doing?" She did not lower her hands. "Not directly," she said. "Think of it as a greeting." The commander's expression hardened. "You are attempting intimidation." "No," she replied. "I'm attempting honesty." He stepped closer again. "Explain." She took a breath. "Your people believe weapons are things you can see," she said. "Guns, blades, energy fields, that's logical, simple. It works most of the time." She flexed her fingers slightly. The guards tensed, raising their weapons. "Relax," she said. "If I wanted you dead, you wouldn't be listening to me." The commander felt an unexpected chill at that statement. He ignored it. "You speak boldly for someone surrounded," he said. "Yes," she agreed. "Because being surrounded doesn't mean being powerless." She glanced at the wall behind him. "Your ship is beautiful," she said. "Strong hull, layered shielding, redundant systems, but you designed it for enemies who fight like you do." The commander snapped, "Enough. You will not lecture us on warfare." "But you should listen," she said, "because humans never fight the same war twice." Another warning tone sounded. This time, two of the holograms blinked off before returning. A few soldiers shifted their stance as the floor gravity adjusted by a tiny fraction. Not enough to make anyone fall, enough to be felt. The commander raised his hand sharply. "Status." The technician's voice was tighter now. "Localized gravity variance, Commander, within safety margins." The commander's eyes locked onto the human again. "What did you do?" She lowered her voice. "Weeks ago," she said, "a human probe failed near this system, or so you thought." The commander remembered. The small vessel that self-destructed after a brief scan, nothing unusual. "It transmitted more than images," she continued. "It listened. It learned how your systems talk to each other, not control, communication." "You are lying," the commander said. She shook her head. "I'm explaining." She slowly lowered her hands halfway, showing she was no threat. The guards hesitated but did not stop her. "Humans know we are not the strongest," she said. "We know we lose a lot. So when we face something bigger than us, we ask a different question." "And what question is that?" the commander demanded. She looked him straight in the eyes. "How does it think?" Silence filled the chamber. The commander felt it then. Not fear, unease. The kind that came when a battle plan no longer fit the battlefield. "You are alone," he said. "Even if what you say is true, you cannot defeat this ship." She nodded. "I know." "Then your plan is pointless." "No," she said softly. "My survival was never the goal." Several officers reacted at once. Weapons lifted. Voices rose. The commander silenced them again, though his heart rate had increased. "Explain yourself." She took a breath. "Humans don't always send soldiers first," she said. "Sometimes we send observers, sometimes we send teachers. And sometimes," she added, "we send lessons." The commander took a step back without realizing it. "What lesson?" She smiled again. "That surrender can be a position. That silence can be a signal, and that when a human raises their hands," she paused, "you should be asking why." The ship hummed around them, deep, steady. But something underneath that sound had changed, like a rhythm shifting slightly out of time. The commander looked at the displays, at the technicians. at the human woman kneeling calmly in the center of his command chamber. For the first time in many cycles, the alien commander realized something was wrong. Very wrong. And far away, beyond the range of the cruiser's main sensors, space itself seemed to wait. The command chamber did not explode into chaos right away. That was the strange part. Everything still looked the same, but the feeling inside the room had changed. It was like standing on solid ground that suddenly felt thin. The alien commander straightened his posture and forced his thoughts into order. He had ruled battlefields for many cycles. He would not be shaken by one unarmed human. "Restrain her again," he ordered. Maximum security. The guards moved forward faster this time. Their weapons were raised, set to stun levels strong enough to drop most species instantly. The human woman watched them approach. She did not resist. She did not speak. She only breathed slowly, counting in her head. When the restraint field activated, it wrapped around her wrists and ankles. The guards pulled her to her feet and forced her to stand. The commander felt relief. Control had returned, or so he told himself. "Now," he said, "you will explain what you meant." She looked at the glowing restraints, then back at him. "You really don't like uncertainty," she said. "Uncertainty leads to defeat," the commander replied. "Only if you don't know how to use it," she said. The commander gestured sharply. "Take her to the containment section. We will isolate her and extract what she knows." The guards began to escort her out of the chamber. That was when the ship shuddered. It was not violent, not enough to throw anyone down, but it was wrong. The hum of the engines shifted pitch. A deep vibration passed through the floor, up the walls, and into every bone. Several officers grabbed nearby consoles to steady themselves. "Report," the commander snapped. A technician's fingers moved fast across a holographic interface. "Multiple minor system alerts, Commander. Power redistribution across non-critical systems." "Cause?" the technician hesitated. "Unknown." The commander's eyes turned back to the human. She was smiling now, not wide, not cruel, just calm. "You should let me finish my sentence," she said. The commander raised his weapon and pointed it directly at her chest. "You will remain silent unless spoken to," she nodded. "Fair." The ship stabilized. The vibration faded. The commander exhaled slowly. He motioned for the guards to continue. They took 3 steps. Then the hallway lights outside the chamber went dark. Not fully. Emergency lighting flickered on, bathing the corridor in dim red glow. The guards stopped. "Commander," one officer said, "the containment section just sealed itself." The commander turned sharply. "That area requires command-level authorization." "Yes," the officer replied, which was not issued. The human tilted her head slightly. "That's inconvenient." The commander felt anger rise. "End this," he ordered. "Disable all non-essential systems, lock down the ship. I want manual control." The technician hesitated again. "Manual override is responding slowly." "Explain," the commander said, his voice low. "It's as if the ship is prioritizing other instructions." The commander slammed his clawed hand against the command console. "This vessel does not prioritize anything without my command." The human finally spoke again. "You're right," she said. "It doesn't." She leaned slightly against the restraints as if testing them. "But it does follow rules." The commander stared at her. "What rules?" She took a breath. "Efficiency, damage control, crew survival. You built those rules into every system." She looked around the chamber. "Humans love rules, not because we obey them, but because we learn how to bend them." The commander realized then that this was not a brute force attack. No alarms screamed. No weapons fired. The ship was still intact. Something was simply shifting. "Status update," he demanded. The technician swallowed. "Gravity variance increasing slightly in crew-only areas. Environmental systems adjusting temperature by small margins. Nothing dangerous, but coordinated." The commander felt a cold understanding begin to form. "She's not attacking us," he said slowly. "She's distracting us." The human smiled again. Closer, he pointed his weapon at her head. Why? Because you think like a conqueror, she said. You expect resistance to come from force, from explosions, from loss. She met his gaze. Humans learned long ago that control can be loosened without breaking anything. The commander turned to the officers. Seal all internal networks. Isolate the command core. The technician shook his head. We're trying, Commander. But every time we isolate one system, another compensates. The human nodded. Redundancy, she said. You built a very resilient ship. Enough, the commander growled. What do you want? She looked genuinely surprised. I already told you, I don't want anything. The commander's voice dropped. Then why are you here? For you, she said simply, to see. See what? He demanded. How humans fight when we know we can't win directly. The ship shuddered again, this time a little stronger. Somewhere far away, a metallic crash echoed through the hull. Damage report, the commander shouted. Cargo Bay 6 just vented non-essential atmosphere, an officer replied. No crew present. The commander froze. Cargo Bay 6 was empty. It had been empty for cycles. Why would the ship vent an empty bay? He asked. The human answered calmly, because empty space is useful. The commander felt his throat tight. Explain. Your sensors, she said. They're good, very good, but they rely on consistency. She glanced toward the ceiling. A sudden pressure change creates noise. It forces recalibration just for a moment. The commander's eyes widened slightly. You're masking something, she nodded. Yes. Where? He demanded. She shrugged as much as the restraints allowed. Everywhere. The command chamber lights flickered again. This time the star map hologram froze for 2 seconds before refreshing. 2 seconds was nothing. 2 seconds was everything. Commander, an officer said urgently, long-range sensors are experiencing interference. The commander spun toward the display. From where? From ourselves, the officer said. Internal signal feedback. The commander realized the truth in pieces. The human was not bringing outside forces in yet. She was turning the ship inward, making it listen to itself instead of the universe. Why? He asked her quietly. She looked at him with something close to sympathy. Because you can't see what you're not looking for. The commander straightened. You think this gives your fleet an advantage? No, she said. I think it gives you a choice. A choice, he repeated. Yes, she said. Right now your ship is still yours, your crew is safe. No weapons fired, no casualties. She paused. But that window is closing. The commander stared at her. You are threatening us. She shook her head. I'm warning you. Another alert chimed, this one sharper. Commander, the technician said, voice tight, external sensors are coming back online. And? The commander demanded. The technician swallowed. Multiple unidentified signals at extreme range. The command chamber went silent. The commander slowly turned back to the human. She closed her eyes briefly, as if listening to something only she could hear. Good, she said softly. They're on schedule. The commander felt a surge of anger and fear mix in his chest. Your fleet will be destroyed, he said. You know our firepower. Yes, she agreed. We studied it. And yet you still came, he said. Yes, she repeated. Why? He demanded. She opened her eyes and looked at him fully now. Because this isn't about winning today. The ship hummed louder, like a deep breath being taken. This is about teaching you, she continued, that humans don't need to overpower you to change the battlefield. The commander clenched his fists. You are one individual, she nodded. So was the first human who learned to use fire. Silence followed. Outside the hull, space remained dark and quiet. But somewhere beyond the reach of alien certainty, movement was beginning. The human stood restrained in the middle of the chamber, unarmed, calm, and very aware that the real battle had only just started. And for the first time since the war began, the alien commander understood something terrifying. The human had never been the weapon. She had been the signal. The alien commander did not speak for several long seconds. He stood very still, staring at the restrained human as if she were no longer a prisoner but a puzzle that refused to fit inside his understanding of war. Around them, the command chamber continued to function, but not in the clean, perfect way it once had. Consoles lagged by small amounts. Data refreshed a heartbeat too late. The ship was still powerful, still armed, still dangerous, but it no longer felt precise. That loss of precision frightened the commander more than any weapon. "Bring the external feeds to full clarity," he ordered. "I want visual confirmation of every signal." The technicians obeyed, fingers moving quickly across holographic panels. The star map expanded, glowing brighter as more data poured in. At first, the signals were faint, scattered, hard to lock onto. Human technology, primitive by alien standards, slower drives, weaker reactors, no elegant energy signatures. And yet the signals were placed with care, spread across vectors that made no obvious attack pattern. "They are not forming a battle line," one officer said, confusion clear in his voice. The commander nodded slowly. "They are positioning." "For what?" the officer asked. The human answered before the commander could. "For observation." The commander turned sharply toward her. "You think your fleet can survive long enough to watch us?" She met his gaze. "I think they already are." The commander raised his weapon again. "You will explain now." She took a breath. "Humans learned early that charging straight at something bigger gets you killed," she said. "So we learned to wait, to measure, to learn patterns." She glanced at the star map. "Your fleets move beautifully, predictably. You respond to threats the same way every time." The commander felt anger flare. "That consistency has won us wars." "Yes," she agreed, "until someone learns to use it against you." A technician spoke urgently. "Commander, our targeting solutions are taking longer to finalize." "Why?" the commander demanded. "Because the incoming signals keep adjusting," the technician said. "They're not attacking, they're moving just enough to force recalculation." The commander clenched his jaw. "They are wasting our time." "Yes," the human said, "on purpose." The commander looked at her, truly looked at her, and saw something he had missed before. She was tired. Her shoulders sagged slightly under the restraint field. There were dark shadows under her eyes, but beneath that exhaustion was certainty. She had expected this moment. "Who are you?" he asked quietly. She hesitated. "My name isn't important." "That is not an answer," he said. "It is," she replied. "Because if you knew my name, you'd assume I mattered more than the others." The commander frowned. "The others," she nodded. "The engineers. The analysts, the pilots who are about to die if this goes wrong." She looked down briefly, then back up. "Humans don't win wars because of heroes. We win because of teams." The commander felt something twist in his chest. His species honored commanders, champions, leaders whose names were remembered for centuries. The idea of a war fought by nameless cooperation felt wrong. "Commander," an officer interrupted, "internal network traffic is spiking again." "From where?" he asked. "Everywhere," the officer said. "The ship is balancing tasks faster than expected." The human smiled faintly. "Your ship is trying to protect you." The commander stared at her. "From what?" "From overload," she said. "You're asking it to do too many things at once. Target, track, lock down, override." She leaned slightly forward. "Humans like to overload systems, not to break them, just to make them choose." The commander's eyes widened slightly. "Choose what? What matters most?" Another alert sounded, this time a different tone. "Commander," the technician said, voice tense, "external power readings show microbursts near the edge of sensor range." The commander spun back to the display. "Weapons fire." "No," the technician said. "Energy spikes, brief, controlled." The human nodded. "Calibration pulses." "For what?" the commander demanded. She took a slow breath. "For alignment." The commander's mind raced. "Alignment with what?" She looked at the display. "With you." Silence filled the chamber again. The commander felt a chill. "Explain." "Your ship emits a unique energy signature," she said. "Every large vessel does. Humans mapped it weeks ago. She closed her eyes briefly. My job was to confirm it from inside. The commander took a step back. Confirm what? That your ship reacts exactly the way our models predicted. The commander felt his control slipping. You are telling me your fleet can track us anywhere? Yes, she said, but that's not the point. Then what is? He demanded. That now, she said softly, you can't hide. The commander turned to his officers. Prepare for engagement, full shields, weapons hot. The chamber filled with movement as orders were carried out. Commander, an officer said carefully, our shield systems are responding, slower than expected. The commander's head snapped toward the human. What did you do? She shook her head. Nothing permanent. That is not comforting, he said. It shouldn't be, she replied. War rarely is. The commander studied her for a long moment. You planned for your capture. Yes, she said. You planned for interrogation. Yes. You planned for this conversation. She hesitated. Mostly. The commander felt a strange respect forming despite himself. And if we had executed you immediately, she met his gaze steadily, then someone else would be standing here eventually. The commander realized then how deeply human thinking differed from his own. His people cut the head off a problem and expected it to die. Humans replaced heads. Commander, a technician said urgently, human signals are stabilizing into a formation. The commander turned. The scattered dots on the display were shifting, not into a tight group, into a wide arc around the alien cruiser. They're surrounding us, an officer said. No, the human corrected, they're framing you. The commander felt his pulse quicken. For what purpose? So everyone watching can see what happens next. The commander looked at her sharply. Who is watching? She took a breath. Other fleets, other species. Anyone who's ever wondered what happens when someone says no to you. The commander felt anger surge. You are using us as an example. Yes, she said simply. You risk total annihilation for a lesson, he said. She nodded. We've done it before. The commander opened his mouth to reply when another alert cut through the chamber. Commander, the technician said, voice shaking slightly, our weapons targeting systems are fully operational, but they are requesting confirmation. Confirmation for what? The commander asked. For firing solutions, the technician said, but the system is suggesting delay. The commander stared. Suggesting? Yes, the technician said. It's calculating high-risk outcomes. The commander turned slowly to the human. You taught my ship to hesitate. She shook her head. No, you taught it that. She met his eyes. You told it to protect the crew, to avoid unnecessary loss, to choose survival. She gestured around the chamber. Now it's doing exactly what you asked. The commander felt something crack inside him. You turned my own rules against me, she nodded. That's what humans do. The chamber lights dimmed slightly again as the ship adjusted power distribution. Outside, the human fleet held position, patient and silent. The commander realized then that the human woman had never been meant to escape. Her mission was already complete, and the most dangerous part was yet to come. The command chamber felt smaller than before. Not because the walls had moved, but because the certainty inside the room had shrunk. The alien commander stood at the center, surrounded by officers who were trained to never doubt orders. Yet doubt now lived in every pause, every delayed response from the ship. The human woman remained restrained, standing calmly where she had been the entire time. Her breathing was steady. Her eyes were alert, watching everything. Fire control, the commander said, forcing strength into his voice. Prepare a warning shot. Low yield. I want those human vessels to understand our power. The weapons officer hesitated, just for a fraction of a second. Hesitation is not permission, the commander snapped. Yes, Commander, the officer replied, fingers moving across the console. The targeting system glowed. Coordinates locked, energy built inside the weapon array. Then a soft tone sounded. The weapon did not fire, the officer froze. Commander, the system rejected the command. The commander felt heat rise through his chest. Rejected. Yes, the officer said. It flagged the action as high risk. High risk to whom? The commander demanded. To the ship, the technician answered quietly. Silence spread again. The commander turned slowly toward the human. You did this. She shook her head. No, I predicted it. You infected my systems, he said. I talked to them, she replied. There's a difference. The commander clenched his fists. You think words defeat fleets? No, she said, but they change outcomes. The commander looked at the star map again. The human ships remained where they were. No weapons charged, no aggressive movement, just presence. They're waiting, one officer said. The commander nodded slowly. Yes. He turned back to the human. For what? For you, she said. The commander laughed bitterly. You expect me to surrender, she met his gaze. I expect you to choose. Choose what? He demanded. Whether this ends as a lesson, she said, or a tragedy. The commander felt the weight of the moment press down on him. His entire career had been built on domination, on breaking resistance quickly and completely. This situation did not fit any doctrine he knew. You believe you've trapped us, he said. She nodded. Yes. You believe we cannot win, he continued. She shook her head. No, you can still destroy us. That answer surprised him. Then why haven't we? Because you don't know what happens next, she said, and neither do we. The commander stared at her. You are gambling, she nodded again. So are you. Another alert chimed. Commander, a sensor officer said, additional ships are appearing at long range. Human? The commander asked. No, the officer replied. Multiple species. The chamber erupted into quiet shock. Identify, the commander ordered. The officer's voice was tight. Neutral observers, traders, patrol fleets, even former vassal species. The commander's eyes widened slightly. They're watching. Yes, the officer said. The human woman exhaled slowly. Good. The commander turned sharply. You called them? No, she said. We invited them. For what purpose? He demanded. To see, she replied. To see how you respond when force isn't the answer. The commander felt a chill. His people ruled through reputation as much as weapons. Fear kept systems in line. Fear required certainty. And right now the galaxy was watching that certainty crack. You used us, he said quietly. She nodded. You used everyone else first. The commander closed his eyes briefly. When he opened them, his voice was controlled. If I withdraw, your fleet survives. Yes, she said. And if I attack, he continued, I may still win. Yes, she agreed, but not cleanly and not quietly. The commander understood then. This was not about this battle, it was about what came after. What happens if I order a full assault? He asked. She answered honestly. You'll destroy some of our ships, we'll damage yours. Others will join the fight, trade routes will close, borders will harden, and your empire will spend decades proving it's still feared. And if I do, he asked. She met his eyes. You'll lose this moment. But you'll keep your future. The commander turned away from her and walked toward the main display. He looked at the watching ships, at the neutral fleets that had never dared approach so closely before. Humans, he said slowly, are dangerous. She smiled faintly. We try to be responsible about it. He looked back at her. You did not come here to win. No, she said. I came here to stop a pattern. The commander considered that. His empire expanded because resistance was crushed early. Humans were refusing that role. You put yourself at great risk, he said. Yes, she replied. That's how humans show we're serious. The commander turned to his officers. Lower weapons readiness. Several of them stared at him in shock. Commander, one began. That is an order, he said. Slowly, reluctantly, weapon systems powered down. The tension in the chamber shifted, not gone but transformed. The human ships did not move. They trust us, an officer whispered. The commander heard it. No, he said, they're testing us. He turned back to the human. If I release you, he said, what happens? She thought for a moment. I go home. And then, he asked. Then we talk, she said, not with threats, with terms. The commander felt something unfamiliar, respect. You are not a soldier, he said. No, she agreed. I'm a warning. He looked around the chamber, at the systems that no longer obeyed blindly, at the watching galaxy. You have changed the battlefield, he said. She nodded. That's the goal. The commander took a long breath. Release her, he ordered. The guards hesitated, then obeyed. The restraint field dissolved. The human flexed her hands slowly, rubbing her wrists. No one moved to stop her. She stood freely now, still unarmed, still calm. You could have killed us, the commander said. She shook her head. That wouldn't have taught anything. He studied her. You will leave this ship. Yes, she said. And if we meet again, he asked. She met his gaze. I hope it's as allies. The commander nodded once. So do I. Outside the hull, the human fleet began to withdraw, slowly. Carefully, without celebration. The watching ships recorded everything. The alien commander stood alone in his command chamber, surrounded by a crew that had just witnessed something impossible. For the first time in the history of his empire, a human had walked into the heart of alien power and walked out alive. Not because she was strong, but because she understood how to make strength hesitate. And across the galaxy, the balance of fear had shifted. The human shuttle drifted away from the alien warcruiser without haste. Its engines burned low and steady, not as an escape, but as a statement. The massive alien ship did not pursue. Its weapons stayed silent. Its shields remained active but no longer threatening. Inside the command chamber, the alien commander watched the shuttle shrink into a distant point of light. Around him, officers stood quietly. No one spoke. No one celebrated. There was no protocol for this moment. A battle had ended without a shot being fired. That truth sat heavy in the room. Resume standard operations, the commander finally said. His voice was calm but different, slower, more careful. Yes, Commander, the officers replied, though their voices carried uncertainty. As the displays returned to normal function, reports began to flow in. Human ships were withdrawing in an organized pattern. No sudden jumps, no hidden attacks, just patience. They are leaving the system, a sensor officer reported. The commander nodded. Let them. Another officer hesitated. Commander, should we pursue, even symbolically? The commander did not answer right away. He thought of the human woman standing calmly in restraints, of how the ship itself had hesitated, of the watching fleets beyond the system. No, he said finally, we have shown enough. The officer bowed slightly. Understood. Far from the alien cruiser, the human shuttle docked with a larger human vessel. The docking bay was quiet. No cheers, no applause, just waiting. The human woman stepped out slowly. Her legs felt heavy. The tension she had held for so long finally began to drain away. A small group waited for her. Engineers, analysts, officers, none wore medals. None stood at attention. A man stepped forward. You're late, he said gently. She smiled faintly. I know. You okay? He asked. She nodded. I will be. They walked together down the corridor. The ship felt familiar, human, a little rough around the edges, comforting. In a briefing room nearby, screens showed live feeds from across the sector, neutral fleets pulling back. Alien patrols holding position, messages already spreading. What are they saying? Someone asked. The man checked a display. A lot of confusion, a lot of questions. That's good, the woman said quietly. Questions slow people down. Another analyst looked up. Some of the alien commanders are requesting talks. The woman sat down slowly, expected. And others, the analyst asked. She leaned back. They'll pretend this never happened for a while. The room fell quiet. What happens now? Someone asked. The woman thought for a long moment. Now, she said, we wait. On the alien warcruiser, the commander dismissed most of his officers. He remained alone in the command chamber, staring at the stars. He replayed the encounter again and again in his mind. Every word, every pause, every system delay. His people believed power came from control, from making the universe behave. Humans, it seemed, believed power came from understanding when it would not. A chime sounded. "Enter," he said. An officer stepped forward. "Commander, the High Council has requested a full report." The commander nodded. "I will deliver it personally." The officer hesitated. "They may not be pleased." The commander straightened. "They will be informed." The officer bowed and left. The commander turned back to the stars. He wondered how many other commanders across the galaxy were doing the same thing at that exact moment. Wondering. On a neutral station far from the conflict, traders and diplomats gathered in small groups. News spread fast. Faster than weapons fire ever could. "They didn't fight," one said. "They didn't have to," another replied. "A human walked into their flagship and walked out," someone whispered. "What does that mean?" a younger trader asked. An older one shook their head. "It means things are changing." Weeks passed. Borders did not collapse, fleets did not clash. Instead, messages flowed, requests for clarification, for explanation, for meetings. Humans did not boast, they did not threaten. They released data, carefully chosen, clear, honest. They showed how the encounter had happened. Not every detail, just enough. They let others draw their own conclusions. On Earth and its colonies, most people never learned the human woman's name. That was intentional. She returned to her work quietly. New assignments, new models, new possibilities. Sometimes, late at night, she thought about the alien commander. She wondered what he was telling his people. She hoped he was being honest. In the alien capital, the High Council chamber buzzed with tension. The commander stood before them, alone. "You allowed a human to compromise your flagship," one counselor said sharply. "I allowed a human to speak," the commander replied. "You failed to destroy an enemy fleet," another said. "I avoided creating 10 more," the commander answered. The council fell into argument. Voices rose, accusations flew, the commander waited. Finally, the oldest counselor raised a hand. Silence fell. "Commander," the elder said, "answer one question." "Yes," the commander replied. "Could you have one?" the elder asked. The commander thought of the hesitation in his weapons system, of the watching fleets, of the future. "Yes," he said honestly, "for a moment." "And after that," the elder pressed. The commander met the council's gaze. "After that, we would have lost something far more valuable than ships." The chamber remained silent. "What?" the elder asked. "Certainty," the commander said. The council dismissed him shortly after. In the months that followed, treaties were proposed. Some failed. Some succeeded. Some took years to finalize, but something fundamental had changed. The alien empire no longer expanded as quickly, not because it was weaker, but because it was cautious. Other species noticed. Humans continued to explore, to trade, to observe. Sometimes to fight when there was no other choice, but more often now they talked. One cycle later, the alien commander stood once again at the command chamber window. His fleet was smaller now, not reduced by defeat but by choice. A message arrived. Human diplomatic channel. He considered ignoring it, then he accepted. The human woman appeared on the display. She looked tired, older but calm. "Commander," she said. "Human," he replied. "Thank you for responding," she said. He inclined his head. "You said you hoped we would meet as allies." "Yes," she said, "I did." "And now?" he asked. She smiled faintly. "Now we see if hope was reasonable." The commander studied her image. "You were right," he said. "About what?" she asked. "You were never the weapon," he said. "You were the message." She nodded. "And did you understand it?" He looked out at the stars. "Yes," he said. "Humans do not raise their hands to surrender. They raise them," he continued, "to show they have already planned what comes next." She smiled more fully this time. "Then we're on the same page." The transmission ended. The commander stood quietly, feeling something unfamiliar but not unwelcome. Respect. Across the galaxy, new stories spread. Not of battles won or worlds burned, but of a moment when power had paused. Military academies updated their lessons. One case study appeared again and again. A human, unarmed, surrounded, hands raised, and an entire empire realizing too late that this was not weakness, it was preparation. And humanity moved forward not as conquerors, not as victims, but as something far more dangerous to old empires. A species that learned, a species that waited, a species that understood that sometimes the strongest move was simply knowing when the other side would hesitate. That was humanity's strength, and the galaxy would never forget it.